Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Guys on Sports. We are back again. It's me, Mark, Rocky. Zach is unfortunately down and out. Wishing him well.
Valentine's Day Part 2.
That's 2 out of the last 3 weeks. I'd start to say maybe he's
what is
load management here.
Yeah, I don't know what he's up to today.
I don't know what he's up to. If supposedly he was sick yesterday.
That's what we heard.
Yeah.
And then
I think what happened is I think the leash from the porch was probably getting a little too long.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while,
The
you
owner
pull
was
it back.
the owner was getting worried. You got to bring him back towards the porch, right?
You gotta yank him
It's
back.
good. Yeah, every once in a while you
sit.
Yeah,
Don't move. Stay there.
So
it's a good practice. Yeah.
So with Zach out of the fold today, anything go on with you guys this weekend that you want to touch on before we move into our segments?
You know, I had a good weekend. You know.
Well, elaborate.
We went to Disney. You know, we spent a night.
Disney. Is there an A in there?
Disney.
Disney. We
Sponsored by Acme.
We hadn't been out in a while, and it was kind of nice. It was quiet out there.
Yeah.
It was not, really quiet.
Nice.
Low crowds. I sent a couple pictures to you guys.
You did?
It was sparse. We got on a bunch of rides.
Yeah.
Had some good food. It was nice.
Sounds good. What about you? Anything new?
Friday night was nice. I had a little daddy-daughter dance with my oldest.
You did. Where did this daddy-daughter dance take place?
It happened at a building that we're usually not allowed into.
I know, right? Yeah.
It happened at New Wave Church.
Yeah. Was there like any kind of rumbling when you?
I walked. It was definitely. They probably should have turned the air up a little bit. It was a little hot in there.
Those were all very interesting, boys. But without wasting any more time,
you know what? We're having a good conversation here, and you're muddling it up, man.
I don't know if the audience would agree.
I think they would.
But we're gonna talk a little fantasy, and we're gonna go through a little
lot of fantasy
series here.
Yeah.
We're gonna touch on every division. We're gonna start with the old AFC East, hometown to Zach's favorite football team, the New York Jets. So it's a shame he can't be here to talk about them. But
It's a shame.
Yeah, he would have definitely landed. He would have fought you to talk about that.
Yeah, he might have. But he didn't put up much of a fight in the chat. So, I mean, I think he knew he was load managing this game for a few days.
Yeah.
But we're going to – it's going to be a super general talk before the draft. I mean, it's very early, but we will touch on some things that we
What impact your early fantasy decision making?
that I think we're expecting to happen or hoping will happen, or just some projections and where we see guys sliding in at this point.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
sure
things
will
that we
change.
would do, things that we would do maybe if we were GMs or coaches, and again, we'll probably revisit all of these teams after the combine, after the rookie draft, after camp start. Like,
That's right.
Fantasy, you got to stay up on this stuff, right? In fact, I've always thought for you, who you're drafting your teams, some of your teams right now.
Right now.
Yes.
It's tough because like you're drafting blind.
Yeah.
Some.
Yeah, you're going off of intel. You're going off of what you think should happen. You're assuming that these GMs are as smart as you are,
Right.
and
That's right.
oftentimes it's not the case.
Not the case.
You know what I'm saying? And you're trying to project. A lot of it's projection. That way, you get your people, where you should get your people before they're being drafted way early.
That's right. It's a good point. So
Taking some risks.
I'm going to start it off here because I'm starting with a team that at this point, the picture's a little bit foggy with the New York Jets just because there's a lot of stuff unsettled with the quarterback position. And I think whoever they get in there, we know they're going to get somebody in there. I do think there's a big difference in some of the guys that we're talking about that might wind up there when you go from like a Jimmy G to an Aaron Rodgers. I think that does have an adverse effect on the skilled players in New York. So it kind of muddies the water a little bit. We know they're going to address the O-line in the draft because they have to. They're going to lose some of their wide receiver core, but I think the main two pieces are still going to be there in Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
I think you can count on Garrett Wilson being productive no matter who's there because he basically did it with nobody last year. But you can expect a big bump for him and definitely a catapult for Elijah Moore to kind of be in that maybe top 30, top 35 wide receiver conversation if you get a guy like Carr or especially Rodgers there.
I think that comment is not. I don't think it's so far fetched. I think the viewers that are casuals might blast you in the comments for that.
Go watch Elijah Moore.
But I'm telling you what, man, Elijah Moore was a disappointment last year, and the guy has all the potential in the room And with the right quarterback play and with pressure taken off of him on the other side, of the line of scrimmage,
That's right.
You're looking at Elijah Moore coming back, man. You're going to get him discounted. I mean, in these drafts that I'm doing, I'm getting him very, very late. I'm getting him as my wide receiver 5, sometimes my wide receiver 6.
That's great because
I'm loving it, man.
to your point, when you get a competent guy back there calling the signals, right? After a year, guys are going to go to school on Wilson, and it's going to open up things for more. And I also think any one of those 3 quarterbacks, Carr, Rodgers, or Garoppolo, opens up that tight end position too.
Yeah.
And all this stuff is just going to lead. Moore is super talented. I don't know if he's as talented as Wilson, but he's
the year before,
he's
people were
within
talking
earshot.
about him. Yeah.
And the running back situation, we know Breece Hall was on his way to winning Rookie of the Year before the injury. Michael Carter's there. We've seen Bam Knight come in and serve well. I think Hall is going to take a while to get back up to speed to where he was. I mean, he was a rookie playing well, but to get reintegrated off the injury, I wouldn't mind investing in Knight more so than Carr. I think Carr is going to be valuable in the pass game, but I do still think Knight fills the role that
I think he does too.
Hall does when he's playing. I think that's going to be one of those things where you could go grab Hall at a discount, and depending on how, do your mock drafts in the offseason and how Knight's falling, you might be able to grab him and have a little tandem there and kind of play it by ear throughout the season.
Yeah, as of right now, I mean, you're getting Zonovan Knight mad late. I mean, you're getting him at a great discount. If he ends up, being the lead back coming out of camp because Breece Hall's not up to speed, then, you've kind of scored yourself that,
you got your handcuff,
potential flex position, but in those double flex leagues, I mean that's worth its weight in gold when you're able to score like a bona fide starter for your double flex like that.
And I think the number one thing with them that's not sexy is that I think they're picking 15th or something. Yeah. If they address and they get one of those top 3 offensive tackles, so they could kick Vertucka inside. Why am I forgetting? I'm blanking on their tackle's name. The kid that missed all last year, the big kid,
Becton,
Mekhi Becton. If he's back up, they got to get that line showed up, no matter who's there. But I mean, if they could get that, they got the talent. If Becton could stay healthy and lose the weight he needs to lose,
Well,
I mean,
they
they're
might
an
catch
offense
a
that.
break.
Why do you say that?
I mean, they might catch a break because depending on how much of a run is made for quarterbacks in the first part of the draft.
Okay, yeah.
There are some pretty good tackle
there are.
prospects. In fact, I mean, they might get lucky. Somebody's going to get lucky. Paris Campbell from Ohio State.
Yeah.
He's one of the top offensive tackles. He could fall. He could fall right in that range. And if you partner him with
You get Vertucka with him on the left side and get Becton on the right.
it could be something to really watch. It could.
That's what really
catapult you to the best
the
line
only
in
thing
the
I
league.
could see holding them back. I mean, the defense, they do got to draft some stuff to get some depth for guys that are getting older. But offensive side of the ball, if they could get the tackle situation set up, I look at that as like a pretty legit offense to kind of just pluck guys out of there for fantasy.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. And if they play their cards right with free agency, I mean, this could be a very explosive offense. But I think what will tie into that, how they address the offensive line. If they go out and they get somebody like Rodgers that's got a couple years left, do they go out and do they really get like their cornerstone, tackles and guards through the draft, or do you think they address that, in free agency because it's more of a win now mode versus getting a younger quarterback and then getting those cornerstone pieces that's going to be there to protect that guy going forward?
That makes sense. I still do. I think that 15 pick though, you got it. They have so much skill on the offensive side of the ball. They have the stud. They got to pay guys already on the defense coming up. They got Gardner. They do have to try to win now. I think they need the help on the O-line for sure. Yeah. If we're talking just championship prospects, but.
And they're going to get lucky too. I mean, you're looking at 4 teams legitimately that are going after quarterback before them.
Yeah.
You're looking at least 1. Now I'm hearing possibly 2 running backs coming off the board, which would be unheard of as of in recent years. It seems like running backs fall
the guy
back.
From Texas, right?
Bijan Robinson, and then Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama. Yeah. Then you have, you're talking about there's like 3 or 4 wide receivers that are in play that they're saying are just
depending
like
on
difference
who they fall
makers.
in love with at the I mean, somebody's going to distance himself at the combine. Somebody's going to fall in love with one, and they're probably going to either trade up or take a stab.
Yeah, and then every year you always have 2 dominant edge guys that are early. You get another interior or 2 interior defensive linemen. there's always a linebacker in that talk, and there's always 2 to 3, defensive backs up there. So, the Jets could get lucky. They could end up scoring a top 3 offensive lineman.
So all this stuff we said, I think we're all kind of thinking the same, like in the same ballpark with the Jets. If they get the quarterback situation situated, they get above average, let's not say great, but above average offensive line play. You get Breece Hall back in the fold that may, let's say, week 6, 7, he's full go. Is this a top 10 offense? I'm asking you guys, what do you think?
Yes, I've actually. I'm low key. I'm banking on the Jets going out and addressing their number 1 need, which is quarterback.
Yeah,
Well, they're going to, yeah.
And if you get a guy,
And we're not mentioning Lamar Jackson, who's also in play for them right now, too.
right? Yes, and you go out and you get one of these top guys, and I'm talking, you go out and I hate them, but you get Aaron Rodgers, you get a Lamar Jackson. You're talking about a team that is now low key Super Bowl contender.
I think I would have to see some play on the field before I go there, but I do think they're definitely contender for the division and making the playoffs. So I'll give you that.
Jets Lions, you heard it here first.
Jets line, you heard it. But and that being said, we'll go to another Super Bowl contender last year. You guys might think is on the decline, the Bills.
Yeah, I hear this talk every year, and okay, are they on their decline? I mean, every year you got teams, right? Teams are either getting better or they're getting worse. I think the Bills are one of those teams that they're right there.
Yeah.
And it's hard, better, worse. I think they're a team to be reckoned with. I don't think that they looked that bad last year. I think they got beaten by a better team.
I think they were starting to get figured out, so they got to address that.
I think they got to address it. And I think that part of the issue with the Bills, like a lot of teams in their position, is they're $16.5 million over the cap. And so they got to figure that out first. Yeah. And there's going to be some tough decisions they got to make, like
Milano, right?
Yeah. Well, and then Poyer, like what are they going to do with Poyer? He's a great safety, but he's showing some wear and tear.
Yeah.
He's not in there a lot. There's a lot of tough choices they've got to make. To me, if it's me, I'm making a decision. They need to figure out that running back situation. They got it. I think you let Singletary go.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I think you commit to Cooks.
And you go get a thumper. I think you need a thumper.
Yeah.
Here's the problem, man. They let the thumper go. They let Moss go.
They let Moss go, and they were targeting CMC because they were every bit in those trade talks when CMC was there. And
go get Fournette.
I like Fournette, but
it's not a terrible idea.
I like Fournette, and they were talking about Aaron Jones before he re-signed. Mm-hmm. And I think Fournette and Aaron Jones, similar. Fournette's more of a thumper, but he can catch out of the back.
Yeah.
So, I don't hate that. I hadn't thought about that, but I do think you've got to solve that running back situation. And I honestly like the idea of Fat Lenny.
I like Fat Lenny there.
With Cooks.
Yeah. I like the idea of James Robinson going there, too, just because you don't want somebody to come in and take all of the reps away from James Cook, right? No. We've all said that James Cook is an explosive athlete and you want him on the field. But you bring in a guy like James Robinson who is equally talented but also more of a thumper.
Yeah.
You might be cooking with something there.
So we got two possibilities, and I like them both. And I don't think Fat Lenny requires the ball all the time either. I mean, he wants to be on the sideline eating a hot dog, So
I feel like he's a guy that, if you wanted to give him the ball 16, 17 times, you could if they needed to do that.
Yeah. And there could be some games they have to. If it gets cold in Buffalo, you're going to be.
You want to take a little bit of that load. You want a back you could give the ball to on the 2-yard line instead of Josh Allen. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff there.
And I think it
could affect Allen too, fantasy.
But I think you need to affect Allen because you need to keep him from running
because he's getting
as much. He's getting
so old.
Yeah. He's not so old, but he's getting older, and he's showing some wear and tear in his arms. You need to keep him away from that constant running that he's doing.
I'm just saying, there's one key free agent out there that I don't know. In my mind, this is where he's going to end up, and he's the franchise killer, and that's on the other side of the ball. Devion Clowney for all Bills fans.
Oh, you think he's going there?
You do not want this guy signing with your team, and I do. I think they're going to try to bookend him with Von Miller.
No, I tell you where he's going.
So. Where
he's going, and he's going because he's spite. He's angry. He called
Pittsburgh,
out the
Cincinnati.
Browns. He's going to the Ravens. He's going he's going somewhere there. and it's because he's pissed at the Browns.
So, do you think they address wide receiver? Because I think they need another playmaker. I think Poyer. I don't think they pay him. I don't think you pay safeties like that unless they're like a Ed Reed, a Palomalu guy that really affects the game.
Yeah,
you can't do that.
Agree. Yeah, and I think Poyer's he's mid-30s now. Like, I just don't think you can.
And they got to pay Milano.
That's right. Yeah. So I think you let Poyer walk. Yeah. The thing I can't figure out is I think they almost have to address. My issue is they kind of have to address interior offensive line. They kind of need an edge. They kind of need a safety if they let Poyer go. They kind of need a wide receiver. They're $16.5 million over the cap. Like, how are they going to do all this?
Restructure
through the draft. They're going to have to restructure some players, because I would say they might need to address wide receiver in the draft. It is a deep wide receiver draft.
Yeah.
I like players like Flowers. I honestly think he would be a good fit there.
It's deep, but it's not top heavy either.
Yeah, and I think it descends quickly after you get around 6 to 7 wide receivers
it
off.
sounds like they kind of need to address a lot of shit for somebody who just said that I'm tired of hearing them on the decline every year.
Most teams need to address a lot of stuff, but it's just it depends on the safety. But you can get by with a
Their baseline is still, I think, a 10-win team if they address almost none of this, and I think 10 wins they make the playoffs. Who's better in that division?
I don't know, man. I think the Jets catch up.
Maybe the Jets.
I think Miami plays them tough again this year. I think
Miami plays tough. I don't know if they're better. I think it's still.
But let's bring it back to fantasy, which is do we still see Josh Allen thinking that they might take their foot off the pedal with the running? Do we think they're going to try to run the ball with the backs more? Is that going to take away from Diggs? Do they bring in a slot guy that they had to kind of just go get a little country at the end of last year? What's his name?
For what?
The white boy.
For
the slot receiver.
Oh, Cole Beasley.
Cole Beasley. Yeah, so it's something they have to address there. Like,
I think
is Josh Allen still a top 3 or top 5 fantasy quarterback next season?
I mean, I think you're safe if he's a top. Like I think, to me, Josh Allen's a top 10. I do think he runs less next year. I think he probably throws for a few less touchdowns next year, because I do think they run it a little bit more. But I think he might throw for a few more touchdowns to running backs.
Is James Cook a starting running back?
I like James Cook.
Yeah, I think he is too. I think he's shown
you drafted him, you're starting him week 1 in your lineup.
I felt pretty good about him at the end of last year.
Yeah, as of right now, I am. But again, I'm also drafting him in that that RB4 role for a dual flex. So I'm
saying you feel comfortable starting him though.
Yeah, there I am. Right. If I'm drafting him as my RB1 or my RB2 because I punted running back to start, no, I'm not comfortable with it.
Okay, so that's what we were trying to get to, right?
I'm okay with it. Going into preseason, I'm like, all right, man, this might hit. But obviously, as my RB4 in a dual flex, and then having the capabilities, of having a backup, wide receiver 2 like a Chase Claypool or something to put in there in case Cook doesn't pan out. I'm okay with that.
Where do you draft Cook? Like which round are you trying to pick up Cook?
Here's a better question. Same question. Where do you not draft him?
Yeah.
Well, you're definitely not drafting him in the first 2 rounds.
Well, obviously,
right?
I'm saying where's the line of delineation where you're like, all right, this is a value.
Yeah.
Or what kind of confidence do you have that when I take him in the 5th round as my 3rd running back?
So I think at 5, I think that you're stretching, right. You're committing to him in 5. You're like, all right, this guy's going to be it, right. I think 6 is where you start to get a little antsy, and you're like, shit, man, is somebody else on him?
Yeah,
I should probably get him here.
So that's
6.
the earliest you'll take him.
I think 6 is probably comfortable. Now I'm trying to check the teams that I've already drafted just to make sure that I'm not stepping on my own dick here. But
I think if you're getting him as your 3rd running back, you're probably feeling pretty good about it.
I think you feel okay. It's a little bit of a risk.
A little bit of a risk, but it's a high upside.
I think that he's that kind of guy where if everything lines up, like this is obviously after you see if you're drafting after the draft, you see everything that happens, free agency, draft, stuff kind of remains status quo. I think you're looking at him like, I'm going to have this guy as my 3rd or 4th. And if I get lucky, I got to, three studs, and I got a guy that if I lose a guy, I can pop him in, and I don't, miss anything.
So I'll give you for instance, right? So my first draft in the big league that I was in contention for the $500,000 this year.
Humble flex.
Again, I've been very high on Cook, right? I mean, I said it last year.
High
I was
on what?
saying high on Cook.
Okay.
Last year I was calling him a league winner by the end of the year. So obviously, I'm doubling down, right? So I'm going a little bit earlier than most, but I got him at 5'8". Now, with that being said, I also went running back heavy. This is a dual flex league, so I started off my draft. I had Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb. Joe Mixon was still around because Joe Mixon's going late because we don't know what's going on with Joe Mixon this year. He's a free agent. Are they bringing him back? They're going to let him go.
Yeah.
So I rolled the dice on Mixon as my RB3, came back Metcalf for my wide receiver 1, and then, I stretched a little bit for James Cook with that 5th pick to fill up my dual flex.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's, 5 is getting antsy. 6 is probably where he's...
Yeah, and
where
if
you
get him
should
in
get him
7
if
or
you want
8,
him.
you're getting lucky. You're getting a steal, probably.
Yeah, 7 or 8, you're getting your most value for sure at this point from him. 8 is unbelievable. 8 would be unbelievable value.
I tell you what I'm really interested in. I'm interested in the wide receiver opposite Diggs, depending on who it is. Because, I'm looking at Buffalo's, and I don't think Buffalo's taken this. I think Buffalo's probably going edge rusher or offensive lineman in the first round. But they're picking at pick number 28. But I would love, there's 2 teams that I would love to see pick this player, and it would be either Buffalo or the Cleveland Browns, and that's Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Yeah.
I think he's somewhat forgotten, but I think he's got a PhD in route running. He has got the right body type for that slot receiver. I would love to see him opposite
He's got
Diggs.
a PhD in physique too.
So wait, are you projecting him as a wide receiver 2 or a slot?
I think he's I think he's a pure slot receiver in the NFL. I don't think he's got the body type for that stretch.
So then
seems
he's
a
not
little
playing
slotty.
opposite Diggs then.
Diggs, I think, lines up sometimes outside.
No, Diggs does line. I'm saying
Yeah.
Diggs always lines up outside.
So that's why I think he's perfect in the Buffalo
in
system.
the slot. Okay.
He's going to be a slot receiver in the NFL. He doesn't have the body type to line up outside. He's quick, but he doesn't have the speed of like a Diggs. But he's got all the attributes of a slot receiver in the NFL.
Yep.
And I think he's getting overlooked. I think if Buffalo takes a guy like him, I am all over
Him?
him.
All over him.
Yeah, all over him.
I like it.
PhD in physique.
All right, Mark. Well, tell us about those Dolphins.
How about them,
all
man?
over him.
I bet you are. What can I say about those Dolphins? Right? They have a glaring hole as well.
At QB?
He likes
Glaring holes.
That could be a hole. Well, let's see what happens, right? So Miami's not definitive on whether or not they're going to pick up the 5th-year option on Tua, right? They've already verbally, come out and said that. Tua's doing everything he can to get back into football shape.
What
He's
year is
taking
Tua in?
capybara or whatever the hell you said, some
That's an
Brazilian
animal.
dance
an
bullshit.
animal.
And then he's doing
Whoa.
some jujitsu.
Chupacabra.
It's not bullshit. Okay, my friend.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Capoeira is not bullshit. Why don't you look it up? Educate yourself.
Capoeira.
It's the
It's a
Brazilian
It's a
like
fight.
belly
Dance
dancing,
fighting,
right?
dance fighting.
No,
No.
dance fighting. Okay. All
It's
right.
a beauty.
It's a legitimate.
Is that going
legitimate
to keep
fighting
his
form.
Is that going to keep his head off the turf for crying out loud?
Well, I don't know about that. No,
Yeah,
I don't
know
think
about
so.
that either. But we'll see. So if Tua comes back strong, if Tua comes back healthy, they don't really need to address that, right? Because Tua looked very capable before that. The significant injury that ended up ultimately costing him the year. For me, it's in Miami, it's running back. Who are they going to commit to, right? It seems like it's a revolving door as of late, right? They got a bunch of guys that shoulda, coulda, woulda. Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert. A bunch of guys that should have been all right, but just didn't pan out.
Can't stay healthy.
This is a very, very, very deep running back free agency.
It's 3 varies.
Because it is, man. Because you're looking at David Montgomery, you're looking at Joe Mixon, you're looking at Miles Sanders, you're looking at Kareem Hunt. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that would fit this offensive scheme very, very well. You now have Leonard Fournette, if Fournette wanted to stay in the Sunshine State and make it the old trifecta there for Florida teams. And,
Let
they're
me ask you a
set with the
question.
wide
Do you know
receiver
why?
duo.
So why did because I'm seeing that I'm looking at the draft order and it says Miami forfeited the number 1 pick.
First round pick.
Yeah, their first round pick. Do you know why? Because I'm blanking on why they forfeited it. Were they in trouble for something?
I don't remember.
I'm gonna look that up real quick while you keep
Yeah,
explaining.
we should probably highlight that. We don't know that though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Well, I'm gonna look. Real quick.
I think they probably traded it.
No, I think something happened where they
got in
tampered,
trouble.
right? They tampered with speaking with somebody ahead
with
of
Brady.
time.
Brady.
Sean Payton.
That's what
No,
it was.
the Brady
It was Brady.
thing. The Brady and Sean Payton thing. Yeah.
So I personally like McDaniel. I like what McDaniel's doing there. I think the team has bought in. I think he's a very relatable coach. I think he's a very creative coach, and I also think that he's going to do.
He also vapes on the sideline.
I think that it's because he's cool, man.
He is cool.
He's going to address whatever needs they have, right? He's almost like that quasi like fantasy football head coach, right? So he's going to make sure that Tua is capable of doing it. He's going to go out there, and I think he's going to finally tip his cap and say, all right, I'm going to stop bringing in my old running backs, and maybe now I'm going to address like a seriously good running back that is capable of handling, this offense that I'm instituting here. Because you know what you're getting out of Tyreek Hill, right? You're getting top 5 wide receiver production out of Tyreek Hill. You know what you're getting out of Jalen Waddle, which is going to be top 15 wide receiver production out of Jalen Waddle. So you know that those two, regardless of who's signal calling, are going to be very, very solid fantasy players. Unfortunately, I whiffed big time on Gesicki. I don't think they utilized that position very well last year. And I think ultimately Gesicki is going to walk, but whoever they bring in, you can't be confident that they're going to start all of a sudden now, incorporating tight end when they had a playmaker at tight end.
Yeah, we're talking about Baby Kelsey here, right?
Yeah, Baby Kelsey, man. He should have been the next Travis Kelsey for crying out loud. Guy's got a ton of talent.
Yeah, that's
he
right.
runs like a goddamn wide. He reminds me of George
Runs
Kittle.
like a gazelle.
That's actually been in the rumor mill that
You're slurring
the
a lot.
Buffalo
You're
Bill-
right, good buddy.
Well, I'm having a small minor stroke, but the Bills have actually looked at adding Gesicki
Yeah.
as a second tight end in Buffalo, and I think they know how to use tight ends.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah. I love your pronunciation of last names, man. It never gets old. Gesicki.
Gesicki.
Yeah, they're bringing in Mikey Gesicki.
It sounds like
he's going to be opposite of Dawson Knox.
So Mikey Gesicki
That
did.
sounds like a beer you drink in Chicago.
It does sound like a beer I drink in Chicago.
Hey, hand me a Gesicki.
So to put a bow on it, right?
Yeah, put a bow on it.
Let's see what happens at the quarterback position. I think if Tua stays healthy, Tua is if you're going to wait on quarterback, Tua's not a bad candidate to wait on quarterback, or very least picking him up as your QB2, right? Mm-hmm. So you'll be able to get him pretty late for that. Address running back. I am really interested to see who they bring into town at running back because I think it's going to be instant fantasy dynamite there. Ooh. And of course, you got your 2 playmakers that you can't go wrong with.
Ooh.
So it was that there was the investigation. They actually investigated both Tom Brady and Sean Payton.
That's right.
And do you think that, like, is Miami a team that maybe reaches for one of the running backs in the early second round, or do they trade up in the?
They just traded for Wilson, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see them expending resources on running back too much. I mean, who really does?
I think they're going to address it, honestly, in free agency because I think they're going to be able to, right? You're looking at...
People want to play in Miami.
Saquon's going to be the only one that truly gets the bag, right? Everybody else is going to be... they're going to look at Joe Mixon and be like, dude, where's your fucking production? Like,
yeah, I think Joe Mixon is good.
Like
Joe Mixon's underperformed. I've said this. Like,
Yeah.
people are always talking about how good he is, and I just don't see
P.
it.
Ryan looked as good or better times this year. So,
And I think Saquon, end of the day, Saquon ends up staying in New York. I just feel like he
it's
does.
still up in the air right
I
now.
think what they offered him, like I was looking at the contract they offered him, it's fair.
It was more than they should have offered him.
Yeah, because like
And I love the guguy.
well, they offered him Nick Chubb type money, and he hasn't stayed healthy.
No.
Like he hasn't. Chubb has been every year the lowest. I think he's 12 games a year is the lowest Chubb's made it.
Yeah.
Saquon's a better pass catcher without a doubt, but runner to runner, they're comparable.
No, they're comparable. I think. I mean, we're gonna break down their games. I think what he was offered was more
It's
than
fair. It's very fair
more
for a
than
running back.
I think it's more than fair. But
So I think
It
I
is
think
what it
end of
is.
the day he stays. Maybe he gets 13. Maybe they get him up a little bit, but
I think ultimately, I think that the second best running back in this market, and it's not a homer pick at all, but is David Montgomery. I think David Montgomery is the next
I
most
like
complete
Montgomery.
back.
Yeah, he's
in
a
free
consistent
agency.
back. Yeah.
And I truly do. I really think I see him going to Miami. I think that's how Miami addresses that situation.
And see, I think Chicago, depending on how many times they're able, I think Chicago is going to surprise people in that they're going to be able to trade back not once but maybe several times.
Yeah.
I think they might be somebody who picks up a running back because they have enough picks.
I don't think we have to, man. We have Khalil Herbert now.
You don't have to, but if you can get
Well,
Bijan,
Chicago.
Bijan-
Oh no. Bijan Robinson's going in the top 10. But
you might end up with a top 10 pick and another number one.
Chicago is definitely a team that every year always puts another running back into their running back room, though. They did it last year with
fair,
Treston
yeah.
Ebner. They did it the year before. Khalil Herbert. They did it the year before that. They're always adding to that running back room to at least bring in somebody that's capable of getting reps.
So speaking of that, adding to your room, do you think Miami adds a quarterback to their room this year because they're a little bit concerned about Tua, even if he does come back?
I think they
looks
have
healthy,
to.
Yeah, because they got Teddy right. I think Teddy signed one more year.
So who you want to see him bring in? Jameis?
No, I'm talking about. I'm almost wondering if they don't go in the draft and pick up one of these second-tier quarterbacks that are coming out of college that are still pretty good. I mean, do they take a chance? Not Will Levi. He'll be picked in the first round, but I think that there's a second quarterback they're talking about, kind of being the second. The guy from Florida.
Yeah. So you guys have seen that, right? So he is this year's hype man.
Yeah,
Every
yeah,
year they always
yeah.
pick somebody to hype.
Lamar
And it's
he's this year's Lamar Jackson.
Richardson. So it
AK.
happened with Malik Willis. It happened with every year. It happens with somebody.
But I mean, if you're talking about taking a guy, maybe they take him in the second round and try to develop him.
Well, now I'm reading that Anthony Richardson might be one of the first 4 quarterbacks off the board.
Depending on how he looks in the combine, Will Levis or AK could absolutely jump into the first round.
All right, well, let's get this back on track, guys. Fantasy-wise, for the Dolphins, what are we talking about?
I think I put
Waddle.
a button on that already.
Tyreek,
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a while ago. That's why it's fading your memory.
So let's move on to last but not least, New England Patriots. And I got to be honest here, guys.
Patriots.
I am not excited about anything with the Patriots.
I could give 2 shits.
I don't know if they're going to keep Myers in the fold. I talked about it a little bit last week. He's going to demand a decent contract.
Well, he deserves a decent contract.
Yeah. But they went and spent a buttload of money, 2 seasons ago?
Yeah. Two
on
tight ends,
two tight ends,
two receivers,
Nelson,
Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah, I mean, and nothing. I gotta say, as much as I love Bill Belichick, former Giant, 2-time Super Bowl winner, greatest coach of all time, potentially in the NFL, right? As a
2-time
GM
Super Bowl winner.
with the Giants.
Oh.
Yeah,
He had to bring up that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, of course I do.
Two times.
So back to my point, he's just a bad GM, and I don't know that I trust anything that they do. I mean, I guess he cuts players and trades them before they go off the cliff, but he definitely is not great at signing talent.
Yeah. And retaining the talent he should, because if there's a receiver that he should keep, it's probably Myers.
It would be smart, if they really want Mac Jones to play well. It's great that they, got rid of. They're not having Patricia and Joe Judge call the offense anymore. That's nice, but I just can't put my finger on who they go after, who they get. I just have no read on what they want to do.
Yeah, I think New England does that every year, though, right? Like, you never get a read because he's a goddamn maniac. You don't know if he's going to trade back 15 times or if he's going to go out and sign Randy Moss. Like,
they got the 14th pick, so they got a decent pick right there in the middle. So there'll be some talent there still.
I mean, so let's start, addition by subtraction here. They don't need running back. They have Ramondre Stevenson.
Okay.
He's the only person that, like, I'm really excited
It's the only
about.
guy you want to really roster at this point. point.
Yeah.
Besides Myers, if he comes back.
Yeah, you know, you're not jumping out of your chair for any of these wide receivers
or their tight ends.
Tight ends didn't show up, right?
No,
I mean,
no, they haven't showed up at all. They've been a gigantic waste of $70
was it
million.
Hunter Henry and
Jonnu Smith.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jonnu Smith. And Jonnu's been that guy that everybody talks about, has all the athletic skill, but doesn't perform on the field.
I think it seems like he's reaching for dynamite again, right? Like he's looking for his Gronk again, because the year before they drafted the 2 tight ends too. Remember,
That's true,
they drafted 2 tight ends in that draft, and pretty early on, and neither one of them guys panned out.
Well,
Devin
last year he
Asiasi and the
Asiasi.
other guy.
Well, and then last year he drafted a total of 3 running backs, which was odd.
He just needs another Hernandez, I think. That's what he's looking for.
He's going all Joe Biden there, man. I don't think he knows what the hell he's doing anymore.
I think he's drafting another quarterback this year because I don't think he believes in Mac.
I think Tom Brady was the brains of the operation there. I mean, that's sad to say. A guy with an IQ of like 12. I mean,
what if they fire him and they bring Brady in as coach?
That's not going to happen.
It'd be fantastic.
What if they bring Brady? What if Brady unretires? 6 games in, they're 0-6.
No. I think Mac Jones going to get... Mac Jones looked good his rookie year, guys.
He looked good his rookie year.
Let's be fair. The guys
he
running
looked good.
the offense were Matt Patricia, who hilariously flamed out in Detroit, and Joe Judge, who hilariously flamed out in New York. That's who's running his offense. Now, I could question his decision to have them run the offense.
And for there not to be a clear play caller.
Yeah, that was bad. I think he tried to play a little 3D chess there, and it kind of blew up in his face. They're gonna have a legitimate offensive coordinator this year.
I think he had his dog calling plays.
He did. That's a beautiful dog.
It's a beautiful dog and a beautiful house.
I think Mac Jones, since we're talking about fantasy, I think Mac Jones is a nice bye week fill-in. But I do think he's going to be better next year with a legitimate OC.
Yeah, but what's better? Is better top 20 quarterback?
I think he can be. He played well his rookie year. They went to the playoffs.
So it's a top 20 quarterback.
I think he's sucking nuts this year. Honestly.
But I mean,
that's not fair. His
top 20 to me is it's a bye week filler.
No, when Josh McDaniels was
You're
the
not
OC,
winning your league with the top 20.
Top 20 to me is like you're starting to get like into Trevor Lawrence territory, and I think Trevor Lawrence
with Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels is the OC.
It's McDaniels.
His rookie year, he played well. He played better than the other 2 quarterbacks that were drafted with him. He played well. You had one bad year. It's recency bias. I think the guy he played well. If they keep Myers in the fold, try to get him a receiver for the love of God.
I think you put Brian Hoyer in there, you get the same play. I think you fucking put Matt Hasselback in there, you get the same play at this point.
You really aging yourself.
It's just I don't
Brian
see it, man. I don't think he's going to do it.
You got something on your tooth, man.
Do I?
Something.
I want it there. It's for later. It's because I'm counting calories. It's there. It's 12 calories.
What you eat?
Brian Hoyer.
It's black.
He said Brian Hoyer.
Brian Hoyer.
Yeah, I love that kid.
That's right. It is black. Go February.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anybody else I would even get remotely excited about, and it's scary, but there's not really.
There's not.
It's Mac Jones and Ramondre Stevenson, maybe.
No, it's Stevenson, yeah.
For sure, and maybe Mac Jones.
Maybe Mac Jones.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm getting
No
excited
one's getting
about him.
excited over Mac Jones.
And then I think if Myers gets re-signed, I'm legitimately, I think, okay, he could be pretty good.
Yeah, I like Myers if he stays. I like Myers wherever he goes.
Yeah, no,
to be
I
honest with
do.
you.
I honestly, he's a guy that, like, if the Browns signed him as their legitimate second, I would be.
Yeah.
thrilled.
No, yeah, you should
that'd
be.
a total
He'd be
career
great.
killer for Myers. Who was it last week that said? Was it you that said
I don't know.
Dallas for Myers?
I did like Myers in Dallas.
I think that'd be a great fit.
I think he'd
honestly.
be the clear number one in New York.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, he
but
would be.
Anybody. I think you might be.
DPJ, Donovan People-Jones, be the clear number
They
one.
finally cut ties with
You're right.
the Kenny Galladay experiment.
They had, yeah.
You know what? Listen, Galladay, he's going somewhere and he's getting paid again next year.
He's not.
I'm telling
not.
you, watch.
He's on a practice squad. He might even be.
This is why I know you watch way more college
It's the NFL.
than NFL.
Listen,
no, he's not. He's not going to be in the NFL.
Dude,
next
this
year.
isn't
I'll
Josh
make you
Gordon.
a bet that
This
he
is
ends up
Kenny
on
Galladay.
somebody's opening day roster.
Opening day.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that
Because
yeah.
it's the NFL.
No.
They're not creative and they're
no they
listen.
his-
Josh Gordon is still playing.
In the XFL.
That's all I gotta say.
The XFL.
Yeah,
right.
okay, and watch, he'll get signed to the NFL
Yeah,
next year.
but that's different.
will.
Because it's different for Josh Gordon because he can still play.
He can. He's got no speed. Look at his separation.
Kenny Golladay could not get out of a break this whole season. His hip after the hip surgery, he's been terrible.
Okay, I
On
agree
tape,
with you.
Nobody's gonna sign him. Not
Okay,
happening.
watch. And you know what? It'll probably be the Browns.
He might be in the
I hope
training
it is
camp.
the Browns.
This is why no, it'll probably be the
I'm
Browns.
saying he might be in training camp with somebody, but he's not making an opening day roster.
Okay.
He could play quarterback in Cleveland.
We'll make this bet.
He can't play. Deshaun Watson's a good quarterback.
We'll make this bet. Because
Great guy. You hate Logan Paul. I mean Jake Paul, but you're gonna be pumping your fist for Deshaun Watson. What a joke.
No, he's talking about you.
Talking about you.
I didn't say he's a great guy.
Who?
You just said he's a great guy.
No,
Said who's a great guy?
I don't know what you're
I
talking
didn't say you said he's a great guy. I said Jake Paul you hate, but you're gonna be rooting for Deshaun Watson.
about. How do you know I'm rooting for Deshaun
You're rooting
Watson?
for Deshaun Watson.
I'm rooting for the Browns.
And he's a Brown.
I'm rooting for the Browns.
Show me something.
There we go.
Boycott.
I'm not boycotting my team. He can get the hell out of my city.
I'm not in your city.
I think it's his city. He's making an awful lot of money. He's getting a lot of handies in the back rooms of massage parlors.
All right, boys, let's move on to our president.
Pressing issues. What's the issue? If there's issues, we're gonna press them.
Yeah, come on down. Hey, baby, ready.
All right, so what are we talking about? You're talking some round ball, huh?
We are. Yeah.
So trade deadline's over. A lot of stuff
Mark's
happening.
talking about handies in the back room.
The Lakers basically got a new roster.
Yeah.
LeBron is out
Yeah,
for
he's out for 2-3 weeks.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Le GM pulls all the strings and then he fucking ducks out, huh?
Ducks out. 22 most important games of his career. He said.
Greatest basketball
And he
player of all
gets-
time.
Yeah. Gets hurt. The guy's
he
soft.
Pulled up. He's got a little injury.
So we haven't talked much NBA this season, but we're gonna shoot our shots here. So after the chips have fell, I mean, who do you guys got going to the conference finals? I think that's what we said, right? So what do you got?
What do I got?
Yeah,
I tell you what I
talk
want.
about this.
What I want is I want to believe in the Cleveland
All right,
Cavaliers badly.
Let's do all ourselves a favor.
Yeah.
Let's take our favorite. Take the Mavs, Cavs, Knicks. We can talk about them in the end.
Okay.
Besides those three teams, with all the moves made, who do we see maybe making a run, and who do we actually call going to the conference finals?
Okay, I got it easy. I got in the East. I got Boston, Milwaukee.
Wow, super easy.
Yeah, I mean, and I got Boston coming out.
Okay, you got Boston coming out. Got
Holy
it.
shit, man! You're
I listen.
goddamn.
Oh, no.
Okay,
You're gonna pull a hammy stretching like that, buddy.
But what do you want me to
So
do?
who do you think can make noise besides the Cavs in the East? Anybody that you think could challenge in the second round?
I think with all the noise that was created, the only team that I think might be interesting is the Cavs.
Yeah, the Cavs are going to lose in the first round. You know that, right?
Okay.
To the Knicks.
Maybe so, but
Gonna
I don't
lose
think
to
so.
the Knicks.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, another bet I think we got here.
Okay, yeah, I think so.
Playoff basketball is different than the regular season. He's hanging his head
Oh,
on.
yeah. You got hate.
He's hanging a head on a victory they got 5 weeks ago.
What's on the Cavs?
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about the Cavs. I mean, we beat the Celtics last night.
Okay,
I mean, twice in a row.
that's good. This
Gave
is
it
regular
one
season.
game back. You got. Oh yeah, you guys got all those veterans over there with all that playoff wins and experience, and turn it up. And anyway, so the East, I do think Miami's legitimate still. I mean, I don't know.
I like Miami. I
don't know
Miami.
if they're a favorite, but I do think.
Like Miami. I want to see how they gel with all the new pieces.
I'm not overwhelmed by the Bucks right now.
Yeah.
Boston looks good, but they've shown they could be had here and there. I think Miami could push them. I don't think that's just a fait accompli that, because they're the two best records, they're
What do you
going
think
to the
about Miami?
conference finals.
I'm not high on Miami. I think, if we're looking at the lower seeded end of the bracket, I think Atlanta could make some noise, right? I think, with DeJounte Murray.
I don't like
and-
the coaching change. That's the only thing that worries me a little bit. Like, it's either going to help a lot or it's going to hurt because he's going to be trying to instill.
I mean, I thought you asked me what I thought. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's fair.
don't try to
Yeah, go ahead.
don't try to impregnate my mind with your coaching shit.
Oh,
You know.
your mind's impregnated with me.
I think that I think that Trey, Trey plays different in the playoffs, right? right? Trey gets up for them games. I think Murray was a great piece that they added. You know, I like Clint Capella. I think that team could probably make a little bit of noise. I think they could get in there and make a bump with Boston early on.
Yeah.
I mean, I disagree, but you're done. Is that it?
Yeah, I
That's
think
your
so.
team?
That's it.
I have the same.
I mean, that's
concerns
not
you
my
have.
team. I mean,
No, I know.
Nobody made better moves than the Mavs, but you know, we'll talk about them later, I guess.
The Mavs are struggling right now, but I do.
They're struggling to show the league how bad they're gonna whoop their ass come playoff
They just
time.
blew like a 27-point lead the other
Yeah,
night.
no, it's all right. They said we're gonna play like men from now on.
But yeah, the Hawks, the coaching change, there's a lot of stuff going on there. I don't know, man. I just
Who you like, the Wizards?
No, I told you the team that I like is I like Miami just because of the veterans. They've been
But
there,
I mean,
done
Love looked bad.
that. He's got to assimilate to
Has Kevin Love ever looked good outside of like them 2 good years in Minnesota?
Yeah.
Love
he
seems
looked
like
good in Cleveland.
He looks like he reminds me like
he's still going to rebound. He's still going to.
he reminds me of Chandler Parsons, man. He had like 2 good seasons, and then like he signed into like these max deals in all these different areas, and they're like,
yes, you can't even.
He has made a lot of money.
I think, it almost
that,
seems like
please.
he's just like hanging down at this point.
Somebody clip that you just compared Parsons to Love. I mean, Love's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he has made a lot of money too.
I mean, you're talking about all
I mean, it might be the same dude. I mean, I think it's like
he's an all NBA player.
I think it's like
years.
the riff raff like Theo Vaughn debate, you know, where it's
all
like the
white
same
guys.
dude.
All
you
white
know?
guys, huh?
Yeah. Two of them might be
we
in
all
our
look the
draft
same.
later.
All right. So what about the West?
I got. I hate even saying this because
Don't
I think
hate it.
Denver. You got to pick Denver to me.
Why do you hate that?
Why you
No,
keep
no.
going chalk, dude?
It's not Denver that I hate saying.
Oh, okay.
It's Phoenix because I'm scared to death to say it. I am still worried about Kevin Durant's injury. I want to see them all play together. I don't think they're very deep. I'm worried about their bench.
Okay.
But I do like the idea of Booker and Durant, and I don't see how you can't say him if Durant is healthy and he comes back and he's anything close to what Durant is.
The thing that gives me pause is the same thing. Is that Durant? How healthy is he? I still don't. Chris Paul is.
Yes, yes,
I love Paul
yes,
as a player,
yes,
but in the
yes.
playoffs, it's always been up and down.
Well, he always gets hurt.
Booker. I gotta. I mean, it's crazy to say that those 3 guys aren't a team, and I still have questions.
I know.
I think
And
Memphis is
DeAndre
not being
Ayton.
talked about enough anymore.
Well, and Sacramento too. Like Sacramento,
I don't think
listen,
they're a contender though.
but they're in third place. And
Playoffs are different, Rocky.
I agree.
Right? I mean, it's a young team, so
Yeah, no, I
it'll be
agree. Yeah.
usually in the NBA, young teams don't win.
It's the
You
same
know?
mean,
concern you have about the Cavs. They don't have a
You
lot of
can't dis-
playoff experience.
You can't discount the Clippers either. I mean, you know,
That's
Kawhi
true.
always shows up at the end of the year. You got
But
Paul
why-
George.
But why put Westbrook on that team?
Why not?
I mean, why not? It's another
I
one of
just
those
think
like
he's I don't
Westbrook
know.
is a good player and a good guy too, man.
Westbrook
he's a
is
good guy.
player.
I
A
think
he's a
fantastic
good
dresser.
player.
He's a good guy.
He's a
but
bad dresser.
He's a bad dresser, and he tends to be a black hole at the worst time.
Man, you're canceled.
I mean, I guess that makes sense, but I can make an argument for him
Consolation.
in all the places he's been besides OKC.
But how does he fit?
He fits perfect. Their 2 stars are aging guys that need time on the bench. He's the second unit guy. He's going to push the pace, make stuff happen. That's what they need because Kawhi, you know.
I love Kawhi.
I love Kawhi too, but he's not a guy like you want to keep him fresh for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Same thing with PG.
Yeah. You got
I
Avaka Zubac too.
I like
mean,
him because he could push that second unit, and yeah, you got to rein him in a little bit. But like I said, I would argue besides when he was with Durant and he was a young player, everywhere else he's been, he's kind of had to shoot the ball.
That's fair.
I mean, LeBron is not a guy. I mean, as great as he is, he's not a guy that's always begging for the ball late in games. When he didn't fit there, and then when he was in Houston, same thing. Washington, Porzingis was the guy he was deferring to. I mean, it's I think he gets a bad rap. I mean, it's been rough for him. I thought the Lakers could actually make a move, get in, and maybe surprise some people. But with the LeBron injury now, it gives me a little bit of little doubt there. But I liked what they did at the deadline. I like getting Russell. The other kid they traded for Hashimoto.
yeah.
Rui Hashimoto.
Hachimura.
I'm not going to try.
Hachimura.
So no one's talking about Kyrie, right?
Well, I mean,
I am.
Well, we said we're not talking about the Mavs yet, Rocky, or the Cavs, or
Well, I thought he would be his. That would be one of his teams.
well, we
Well,
said
he
not
told me
to.
I wasn't
Yeah,
allowed.
we said we weren't doing it. Remember that part? The show's good. You should listen.
Well, to be fair,
All right, so let's talk about him, man.
Yeah,
They go
yeah,
out
yeah,
to
talk
get
about the
Kyrie,
Mavs,
man. You match up Kyrie with the greatest basketball player on earth, Luka Doncic. You know, you got the guy that it's what happens to Rocky every Sunday in church. You got Kristen Wood there, and
He's used that joke like 20 times.
so
At
bad.
some point, yeah, it's not,
Listen,
it wasn't funny then. It's
they're struggling right now to kind of play together well, and
they'll figure it out.
midway through the playoffs,
I mean, they're like the 6th seed. They're definitely making the playoffs. I think they're playing possum. I think they're going to be all right.
they're not playing possum.
They're
and
playing possum.
There's going to be a car accident, and Kyrie's going to have to take a break for like 5 days.
Luka put up 16 in the first 9 minutes of that game the other night.
Luka's
that
not the
they
problem.
lost. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're just playing
Luka's
possum.
not the
Then they
problem.
sat Luka for the whole rest of the first half. I mean, they could have played him and just goddamn blew him out of the friggin' arena,
All
but
right,
they
so
didn't.
You got them going to the conference finals,
Hell yeah, I do.
and who you got going with them?
Playing to get into the conference finals, or who are they playing from the East?
Who are they playing in the conference finals?
They are playing the Memphis Grizzlies in the
so
conference
you got
finals.
Grizzlies, Dallas coming out.
Yeah.
Okay, who do you got in the East?
In the East, I got the Celtics.
Oh, he's
Well,
saying I'm not stretching,
Well, no, now we're talking about. I mean, we're not making stretches here. Now we're talking about who we think is.
but that's what I was doing.
That's fine.
But you
Let him
didn't
go.
wait, man.
Yeah,
we were
supposed
doing
to
the
wait,
we were doing the
Rocky.
dark horses
Yeah.
first.
Son of a bitch.
That's all
Why
right. It's
are
not, hey, listen. Just let me run this thing, right?
I got-
you guys just start fumbling all over the place, right?
I got the Celtics,
Huh?
and I got the Knicks,
Okay.
and I got the Celtics blowing them out.
Yeah.
4 games. They might even concede after 3.
Nice. I'll take the conference finals appearance. And not hurting my feelings. All right. So I'd say in the East, bias taken out. I do see the Celtics being there, and man, it's tough. I just don't believe in the Bucks right now. I think I'd probably go Miami if I was not being biased. And then in the West, I would also take Memphis, and I'd take Phoenix. Injury concern aside.
Terrible pick.
Well, thank you. You picked the Mavs to go to the finals.
Oh,
Okay?
yeah, I did.
All right, so that's a terrible pick.
Oh, that's a fantastic pick.
But I do want to hear about the Cavs a little bit, and I do like the Cavs as a team. I just think it's a year early for them.
Yeah.
But how far, if you were
So who
taking
you
your
got?
bias back in, he already called his East. I don't know if you said your West, right?
No, I said West was going to be Denver versus Phoenix.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I called Phoenix out.
And you called Celtics.
Yeah,
and,
Celtics versus Phoenix.
Yeah. All right, so then tell me about the Cavs.
I think it's legitimate what you're saying, that it could be too early for the Cavs. I think the Cavs are a developing team. They're trying to figure out exactly who they are. The reality is playoff basketball. What I would do if I was playing the Cavs, right, is I'm clogging the hell out of the middle. I'm making every shot that Garland and Donovan make be congested. I'm letting Akara take wide open threes. I want to see what he's made out of.
Yeah.
And I think that's what playoff basketball is going to be for the Cavs.
Yeah.
One thing I like about the Cavaliers is if you look at the last 20 years, there hasn't been a team that's not been in the top 10 in defense. And that's what I love about the Cavs. The Cavs, when they have to get a good stop,
Yeah.
can get a good stop with their starting 4. And I think that's what they do offer. So if they can mature quickly,
Yeah.
if they can actually come out and show some guts and show some maturity, I like them as a dark horse.
Okay.
Do I think they're going to get that far? I think they're not losing in the first round.
Yeah, I think they are.
I know
for
you
sure.
do, but I don't think they're losing in the first round. I think this is the year they get past the first round.
So let's have this conversation. We obviously disagree about the first round.
Yeah.
Well, let's say you get your wish, they advance. I get my wish, my team advances. Can either one of these teams beat a team in the second round?
Oh, I think if they get past the first round, then yeah, I think that I think either of these teams, I think both teams are better than people realize, and what they need is a little bit of confidence.
Yeah.
So the Knicks, the Cavs, with some confidence, they could be a troubling team for anybody they play.
I think people know how good the Cavs and the Knicks are right now. The Knicks,
But I don't think the Cavs or the Knicks maybe know how good they are. So I think that they need the confidence. I think outside of Mitchell, I think Mitchell knows how good he is.
The rest of the guys are young players.
But I think Mobley needs to know how good he is.
Yeah.
I think Garland, he hasn't had any playoff success.
I think that if the Knicks can, I think after last night we might be a game back in the loss column. I could be off. It might be 2. I think if they could get home court, I think
You're off again. 2.5.
How?
They're 2.5 behind Cleveland.
In the loss column?
They're 2.5 games back. Yeah.
Look in the loss column.
Yeah.
No, that's total games. I'm talking about the loss column.
No, they have 2 more losses, but
Yeah,
that's only because
that's-
Cleveland's got 3 more wins.
Yeah, I know that. I'm talking about the loss column. It makes a difference. And they have a game in hand on the Cavs. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
It goes by games. It goes by overall games back. Cleveland's got 1 more game played.
It goes by losses because they've played 1 more game.
And what's going to happen is the Knicks are going to lose their next game, right? And then they'll be 3 games back.
They're going to lose their next game against Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Why?
Because Brooklyn's dominant, dude. Look at they got rid of all their cancers. They got rid of Kyrie. They got rid of KD.
Brooklyn just lost by like 60.
I'm kidding. Brooklyn. I mean, you're talking about a team that's fucking anchored by Spencer Dinwiddie, for crying out loud.
Mikal Bridge is pretty good.
That's an awful team, man. That team is so bad.
I don't think they're that bad.
They're terrible.
I think they don't have a guiding star
I
right now,
think
but
I think it's a D League team. I think it's a team
That's
that
crazy.
like Mac McClung would like. He'd be the superstar on that team.
Spencer Dinwiddie's a good player.
Yeah,
So is Nick Claxton.
yeah. Spencer Dinwiddie. Tell that to his 5 for 19 the other night or whatever. the hell he
Everybody
was.
has bad shooting nights,
Screwing
Mark.
my
You would know
screwing
that.
my prize picks.
You would know that.
I wouldn't know that, man. Because you want to know why? Because I was 7 of 7 for 3-point land.
You're looking at those metrics, and what's funny is that their best defensive player missed the last 15 games and came back 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
But the Knicks since December are 25-10. They've been a good team. I think the Cavs have been a good team all year.
I'm not
I
saying
think
that the Knicks are a bad team. Saying that they're going to beat the Knicks isn't saying the Knicks are a bad team. If you're a playoff team, you're a good team.
Yeah, I just don't think you guys
Are you though?
really realistically speaking, if we get home court, I think it's a wash.
I mean, doesn't
think
the
you're
NBA
done.
the NBA
But
does the play in now?
if
Yeah,
right?
you
but I
guys-
don't think
if
right
you
now
guys-
you're getting home. Right?
No,
We
if you
start
guys-
right now, we got home court.
I still think we'll win if you have home court. I think if we get home
Because you
court,
think nothing of Cleveland.
that's not. I don't think. I think
Well,
there are a
the-
lot of young
the
guys, and I
fans.
think if we got to worry about Donovan Mitchell, I'm not worried about him beating us in the series. He hasn't beaten anybody in a series yet. Who has he? He hasn't won a series.
Yeah, but listen.
He's a great player. I wanted him,
He's a great player, and
but his
he's
supporting cast,
confident.
they're all young.
Yeah, no,
and
no,
they're
no,
guys that haven't done it.
Yeah,
haven't been
which
in
is
the
what
playoffs.
I said. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
So that's
Yeah.
my tact. I think.
Well, no, they've been in the playoffs. They were in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, but
So like this is their
it's
first.
like the play-in, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So playoffs are Jace.
It's fair.
All right,
The play-in where every team makes the playoffs in the NBA.
10,
Yes.
20 of them.
You're not wrong.
Hey,
It's ridiculous.
I'm not wrong. Shit.
Participation trophies. Aren't they talking about doing like an in-season tournament,
Tournament,
now too?
that would be cool. Oh, you don't like tournaments
This
either.
is the thing, though.
God, you're
And
right.
Mark, you can agree with me here. 'Cause I know
I
you're
like
not a
Jake
Knicks
Paul
fan.
though.
I know you're not a Knicks fan.
Yeah.
He's a Mavs fan.
Cavs versus the Knicks. Immediately, the Cavs are America's team because everybody hates the Knicks.
No, the Knicks spanked them.
Why
I
do you
mean,
think
if you-
everybody hates the Knicks?
The Knicks wiped the
you
floor
have
with
to
them.
say that because you picked them to go to the.
That is true.
Finals.
You did pick them.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they have a pretty solid all-around team. I like Julius Randle. I like Brunson.
Brunson's been great.
I like.
No, he has been actually.
I think if Barrett ever taps into his full potential, I like RJ Barrett.
right
Barrett
there.
hurts
when
us.
you say if he ever,
Yeah.
you can stop right there.
Well, that's like everybody.
I agree, though. Barrett has let me down this year, and he's a good player. Barrett's problem is
He's
he
a
can't.
good offensive player. I agree with
He
that.
can't. He's a decent defensive player. He's a good all-around player. His issue is that he can't shoot consistently well.
The one move the
That's
Knicks
the
made
issue.
that I didn't like is they got rid of Cam Reddish. I liked Cam.
Oh,
too.
that was a great. He wasn't in the rotation anymore. And the trade they made for Josh Hart's been great since he came over.
Yeah, and that's the reason why the Knicks are
I like
the
Josh
fifth seed,
Hart.
not
I
the
actually-
second seed.
I like
Cam
Josh
Reddish. Oh my God, doesn't play any defense, man. Josh Hart's been great.
I think
Josh Hart's
that
been really good.
I think
Actually,
what you
really
got to
good.
say is the fact that the Cavs and Bickerstaff didn't make a move says a lot about what
How shitty
they
that
feel
city is, and nobody wants to come there.
they are going into the playoffs.
That's fair. It doesn't mean they're going to win.
No,
But I
it
get what
doesn't.
you're saying.
It doesn't. But I think that they feel like with the ascension of Akara, how he's done the second half of the first half of the season.
We're talking about the same city that brought a sexual predator in the
Here we
lead
go.
their
I mean,
their
you
franchise.
could say that
the
about
football
Chicago
franchise.
or any city in the NBA, NFL. Like every city's had a sexual predator.
Every city has, but they don't put them at the helm of their
Well, the city
football
doesn't.
team. Their
the
pride
city
and
doesn't
joy.
make the call. You know, it's the individual GM.
I mean, Mark, every city you've lived in has brought a sexual
Oh
predator
wow!
in.
Whoa!
I mean, this show.
I don't think you're a sexual predator, Mark. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey guys, that's the show. We missed Zach. Not really. We didn't even mention him.
Yeah, no,
He actually had the best advice he's ever had this show.
What was it?
nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, so thank you for watching. Please find us on all our social media. That's the Guys On Network. Is it Guys On Network? Or Guys on
Guys on network.
Guys On Podcast. The GON Podcast. That's on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. If you're watching this right here on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Please, on the Apple Store. And what are you doing?
I'm preparing for the next show.
You can hear
Wow.
it. Apple Store and Spotify. Download the episode. We need the downloads. And yeah, comment, man. We love you. Peace.